because we didn't have audio. I hope we have enough audio right now. And wherever you're joining us from, welcome. This is Richard Nwaje, and I fill up the biggest important stories. And welcome to the show. We're supposed to start the show around 10 o'clock, but we're like 56 minutes late based on Nigerian time. And hopefully, we'll hope to make sure we cover up a lot of what we need to talk about today because, of course, a lot of stuff is happening in the world of sports, and we need to take our time to follow up the story. Wherever you joining us from, welcome to the show. And in some few minutes' time, we'll kick off officially, of course, a recap. Recap what we were talking about, what we have talking about the last few days. I think for those following us, our predictions the last few days have gone as predicted. The last few days we've had some very, very interesting analysis from different games, what we should expect, and you know I want to say surprisingly because what we are getting is what we expect, and because every analysis from us is strictly based on, well, how would I call it? Strictly based on the facts on ground. To analyze matches based on sentiment or because what particular club, we just analyze it. Everything we do is strictly with the facts. So welcome to the show, and wherever you're joining us from, welcome, and let's get started as soon as possible. And let's follow up those big stories that are happening. I just want to be sure the sound is on. And before I just pull through, I just want to be very sure the sound is on. I think that's what I want to do. First of all, let's make sure we have audible. So make sure you can hear me clearly before I dive into the main discourse of this what I call it morning, but where my listeners from this morning here. So before we go to the main discourse. All right, so we have audio clearly. All right, so welcome, joining us from welcome, and this is latest sports update with Richard Nwaje. We always do this every day, morning and evening, but we cover up the biggest stories from the night before, and of course the biggest story that are happening right, of course, right now. The breaking stories we follow it up. So welcome to the show. Tell me where you're joining us from. If you're just joining me, if you're joining for the first time, this is what I do. All right, let's start up with what happened in the week over the weekend, March Day 24. Good evening. Thank you for joining me, Karen. Thank you for joining me of the world, and as usual, we follow up all those games we had over the weekend, and for many of us, it was very interesting. Now, if you followed up my predictions, the whole predictions we had ahead of this weekend all went as predicted. I know I must repeat that all our predictions for the weekend went as predicted as we always said it. Now we had, if you follow me in the show we had about 2 days ago, we spoke specifically about what we should be expecting from the Manchester United and Fulham game. I spoke about it yesterday, where I spoke about the fact that Man U would definitely win the game. And I gave 5 reasons, why Man U would win that game. I spoke about the fact that the worst case scenario for Manchester United against Fulham was just a draw. And I gave my reasons. I gave 5 reasons. I don't want to go back to those reasons I gave, and those reasons were strictly based on the facts on ground. Before then we had a video where we spoke about West Ham and Liverpool, West Ham and Chelsea game, where we also broke it down. Before the game, we predicted that Chelsea was going to win that particular game against West Ham with at least 1 goal. As usual, our prediction went at least win with a margin of 1 goal, but Chelsea were going to win. It went the same way. We spoke about Liverpool game. Liverpool must win. It went as way we said it. We used real facts to analyze those games. We spoke about Arsenal. Arsenal will win the game and score a lot of goal margins. It happened. So I tell you, don't miss any part of the shows. We just look for a way to analyze all those different games that happen. And for me, that's what we always want to do. I'll fill up the biggest stories. Now let's focus a bit around Manchester United and Fulham game yesterday evening. It was one very, very interesting match, and if you know the history between both clubs, you know that it has always been a big tax for Manchester United whenever they play against Fulham the last 2 seasons. For the very, very first time, Manchester United were able to pull something through yesterday. And if you had watched the preview ahead of that game, I gave 5 reasons, and those 5 reasons manifested the game. The first reason I spoke about was the fact of Carrick. I spoke about the fact that Carrick is in the position whereby he wants to prove himself well. Carrick is that new pride of Manchester United, and for everything around Carrick how can I make sure and tell everybody that I'm the main man? I'm that man that can take Man U to the next level. Now, some will call it initial grad in Nigeria. Yeah, that means he's trying to show himself. And so Carrick is getting into the results right. So number one factor was that the Carrick factor, and number two factor we spoke about why we spoke about Maya going to win the game, and it happened yesterday. Why Maya won the game? We spoke about the fact that many players now have to play their real roles. I call it their free roles. For example, Bruno Fernandes is now playing the role he was meant to play. Now, under Amorim changed the whole pattern as some of these players were playing off position. Now, under Carrick, Manu players are now playing their real position. Now, we are now seeing the man with score, Bruno Fernandes, having that free role to give those assists, do all those runs within the midfield, make sure he can give those good crosses, give the killer passes, and all is because of he's now playing that free role, playing that role behind the striker, that role that gives him the space to move. That's the second point we spoke about, and of course that was one of the reasons why Man won that game yesterday. And we also spoke about the fact that you have two midfielders who sit behind to make sure everything works for Man U. Same thing happened yesterday. You had the Casemiro and Kubimeno, these two guys in the middle there, helping the man they call Bruno to be able to move further and do the goal scoring, and it helped. Now, on that point we spoke about was Man U having great strikers, and that is not out for debate. Man U spent a lot of money buying good strikers, and with a combination of Bruno Fernandes, Man U will definitely be able to make those passes and make those goals and everything. I also spoke about the defense of Man U. The defense of Man U is not still where it used to be, but it has improved. And I spoke the improvement of Man U's defense was going to be a factor that would also help Manchester United be able to win the game yesterday. And it happened like that. Also yesterday, when I spoke about the game, I predicted that Man U will not keep a clean sheet against Fulham. Exactly, Man U conceded two goals, but were still able to win. So the most important thing is that Man U are not being able to score more goals than they've been able to score more goals than they concede, and which is a big point. And let's say the winning grace for the Manchester United team, they have been able to score more than they have been scored. So that is it. So we should expect more from Man U. Man U moved to the fourth position back in EPL. There was a little shake. Chelsea moved to the fourth. Chelsea defeated West Ham. But Man U now are back to the fourth position in the EPL table. And I tell you, nobody should look down on the Manchester United team. I think the Man U team are gathering momentum. If those five factors I spoke about remain the way they are, I tell you, Man U will definitely be the team to beat. So with every sense of respect, Man U remain in the top four position. We see Man U putting the eyes for the Champions League. Let's not forget that we still have 14 more games to play. So 14 more games in this particular season means that anything can still happen. 14 more games means that the tables might still turn. A club who is in real form might still lose form. And so it's going to be a very interesting journey. Let's see how this journey, unveil itself in every game. But for me, it's be a very interesting one. So that's for Man U. Great one for Manchester United. Great one for Casemiro. So Man U fans are believing they could convince Casemiro to remain in the club instead of leaving the club. Yes, you could understand their pain. Casemiro is playing very great football right now. Casemiro understands his positioning. He's been able to score those goals. Casemiro has scored 5 goals for Man U this season. And I tell you, it's just beautiful for Manchester United. So that is it for Man U. I think I want to talk about other clubs also too. And don't forget to tell me where you're joining us from. It's Richard Nwaje. Yes, and we have the latest sports updates. We'll analyze the games from the EPL yesterday. Let me know where you're watching us from. Get a like button. If you don't have a like button, don't have a like button, so we can be able to gist together. Tell me what you think about the match day 24 matches around the EPL. This is just the EPL segment. We'll take some other sporting stories. We'll be back later in the evening again, or we'll have another live stream and we'll analyze some of those big and very very interesting stories. And if you're just joining me, we've spoken about the 5 factors that gave Man U that's a very, very important win yesterday. And I think those 5 factors really stand for the Red Devils. All right, let's shoot from there. Let's move on. Let's talk about Man City Tottenham game. And that was one very tough game. Our prediction for Man City Tottenham game was Manchester City were going to win the game. Not an easy one as we predicted, but we felt that City were going to win the game. And it happened that City were winning the game by 2 goals, but of course a bit of distraction from City, turned the whole table around, and Tottenham were able to pull that game to a draw. And for many of us, we felt that this guy slept. But it's a blessing to Arsenal. I don't know what Arsenal fans are thinking, but I think Arsenal fans should be happy. They won their game against Leeds. City drew against Tottenham, and of course, it increased the like I said, the gap, where the gap between the two clubs, between City and Arsenal. However, it's very important we always stress this factor that beyond everything that happens, there is one sure thing I can always tell you is the fact that the team that can go after Arsenal to stop Arsenal from winning the league is City. City is a team that could go in for 10 games straight wins. City can easily do that. City can go 10 games straight wins. City can go 15 games straight wins. So many people believe the only team that can be able to do that based on history is City. City can just start winning games and Arsenal will be under real pressure. Now, many Arsenal fans will also agree that the only team that can stop Arsenal will be Arsenal. That means no other club has the power to stop Arsenal from winning the league. Arsenal is the only club that's in the right position right now. Whether I spoke about Arsenal positioning, I think that is a real great factor. Always talk about the fact that Arsenal have this everything working from them, from the defense lineup to the midfield to the striking force. Everything in Arsenal is working for them, and Arsenal basically don't have any excuse why they'll be unable to win the league this season because we have everything working for you. Then why can you not win the league? What is now holding you down from winning the league? So Arsenal will be the only club that will start to win the league because every single thing in the Arsenal team will work for them. From the defense lineup, to the midfield, to the striking force, every single thing is building up for them. So I think Arsenal will be the only ones to stop themselves. They're topping the league right now, which is the biggest and greatest news for many Arsenal fans. The fact that yes, they're on top of the table, and would hope that they can still keep that momentum to remain top of the table. That is for Arsenal. Right, let's breeze in. We're going to just take a round around the major clubs. Let's talk about Chelsea and getting things right. Yes, winning West Ham was a very important game. I think that the Chelsea team now understands what it means to win matches, and it's for me and many who love football will agree that this is now making the EPL more competitive, where we're having different clubs pulling through, playing good football. So it's beyond having a situation whereby one club is just dominating. Everybody now understands that I must win my games. And for a club like, call it Chelsea, they know, yes, they must win and they are already winning their matches. So, from basically for us, we would all agree that Chelsea are real big, big in for the top four position. I think Chelsea have lost momentum. I think for me, I believe Chelsea were one of those guys that would have had a chance to win the league this season. But how it started, how it's going, it's going to be a very difficult task for Chelsea to pull that through. But I think in every sincerity, and and speaking, be very factual, I think the Chelsea they can pull for the top four position, which should be their target. Not trying to say they can pull to win the league. I think the top four position is a very something they can achieve. So if they put keep it alive, they can finish top four. Forgetting the fact that we will have a Aston Villa there. And let's talk about Aston Villa. I call Aston Villa the most consistent team in the last 4 seasons. Aston Villa have been there, giving us very good, consistent football. And that's the truth. We cannot take it out from Aston Villa. When you talk about the most consistent team in the last 4 seasons, to be Aston Villa, and they are consistent in putting that top four position right again. They have shown themselves in the Champions League also to playing against the biggest and the biggest and still have to deliver. And they are still doing well in the EPL. I look at Aston Villa being among the top four. It's a club we have to watch out for. With how far can Aston Villa go is a big question. The idea of before we had us Aston Villa, at a very particular time, Aston Villa will lose momentum, Aston Villa will drop out, Aston Villa will be able to win matches again. But to be very critical and very sincere with you, I see Aston Villa team as one particular team that can be able to pull through, go far, and do the needful. So for me, Aston Villa is ready. I don't know what you think, but I think Aston Villa is ready to still pull through. So anybody that wants to take Aston Villa out from the top four are ready to win their games and make sure Aston Villa can drop down. So that's for Aston Villa. Let's talk about Liverpool. We have Liverpool's jersey order. Let's talk about Liverpool and what Liverpool are bringing to the table. Liverpool now still remains that very important team. That team that won the current champions, started poorly. The only reason why their coach has not been sacked would be the fact that they still remember him for winning the trophy for them. If not, Liverpool would have sacked their coach a long time ago. I think it's just the fact that he won the EPL title, and let's give him the chance so he can do. And what sounds so painful is the fact that Liverpool spent a lot of money this particular transfer window, but it's still going well for them. But let's be sincere with ourselves. I think the biggest problem of Liverpool, the one they are matched by the weekend, and but it's still far from the top four. But I think the biggest challenge of Liverpool will still be Liverpool's inability, to get in the players the ball to, would I say, pair up, understand themselves, and flow together. I think that's Liverpool's greatest problem. I think that is our biggest problem right now. These players they've got in, can these players understand themselves? Can these players be able to flow in, play in against themselves? That's their greatest challenge. And until something like that is done, something like that is being fixed, the Liverpool team will continue to struggle. And no matter how you want to, let's forget about that. Liverpool, would get things right very very soon. The very very soon depends on the players understanding what they need to do. If they don't know what they need to do, then Liverpool will be back to the flying colours. Now the question, why are you wearing a Man U? But this is a Liverpool jersey. This is not a Man U jersey. This is a Liverpool jersey. Serious fan. This is why are you wearing a this is a Liverpool jersey I'm wearing today. The other day I wore a Man U jersey and you were complaining. I'm wearing a Liverpool jersey today. So right, this is a Liverpool jersey. So I will wear the jerseys as they come in. We're talking about everything that concerns every club. So if we wear a Liverpool jersey today, we might decide to wear a Man U jersey. He said Man U and Liverpool are same team. Should we call Man U Liverpool same team? I think same struggles this particular season, and the only difference is that one of the team, which is Man U is out of the struggling part. Liverpool are still struggling in quotes. Liverpool are not yet where they should be right now. But I think I won't write off Liverpool. Serious fan, but I won't write off Liverpool. Liverpool lives in the shadow of their mighty Northwest neighbours. Gerard gets PR due to sockets of skulls. I don't want us to go into that debate of the Gerard and the skulls and debate. But to be very very serious with you and very sincere with you, I won't write off. I won't call Liverpool a weak team. Liverpool are still a very strong team. Liverpool is that heritage team, that team that the last 15 league seasons in the EPL, and Liverpool have had a way of being among those clubs I always speak about. So I will not just write them off. Maybe you may have your own sentiments, maybe because you support a particular club, but Liverpool is still that club that we want to see them play well, because people like us will say if we have clubs like Liverpool doing well, Man U is doing, everybody is doing well, it makes the league interesting. Now, when you have a situation whereby not everybody is doing well, it makes one team dominate, and that was why when City kept winning the league, we were not happy because we wanted on that club to win the league, not City alone. Because if it's all about City, it takes off the competition. So I think for me, basically, I don't know for you, you might have a club you support. I support everybody, but I basically believe that we should have every single club, doing well at a particular time. All right, if you're watching for the first time, it's Richard Onwaje. Get the notification button, get the like button. We'll always be going live to analyze those biggest sporting stories with you. And don't forget, drop your comments. Tell me what you feel about the games over the weekend. Let's analyze it together. Let's talk about the games over the weekend. What was your thoughts? Who made you happy? Who disappointed you over the weekend? Let's analyze those big issues and let's focus on which club you believe should improve or which club you believe is doing good or is doing bad. Arsenal fans, tell me, what do you think about the performance of Arsenal so far this season? Man U fans, tell us, what do you think about the performance of Manchester United so far this season? Do you think the Man U team are living up to expectation? Do you think Chelsea are back to their flying colours? Do you think Liverpool would hit the top four position? What do you think about what's going on throughout the whole season? So I was talking about Liverpool and the fact that Liverpool still have all it takes to bounce back, do well. Whether they can finish top four, a big question, not impossible. Winning the title, maybe impossible, but top four position, very possible. I think that's talking about Liverpool. Now let's cross and leave the Liverpool topic, and let's basically focus on Manchester City and their chances. Can City catch up with Arsenal? That would be the big question we should ask ourselves. Can City catch up with Arsenal? Can City be able to pull that big one and make sure they give Arsenal the run for their money? No doubt some of those big questions we'll be asking ourselves, as the league still keep pushing on. Can City be able to bounce back, show themselves well, get things right after drawing their game, after to play a draw against Tottenham yesterday. So these are some very, very dynamic questions that we keep asking ourselves and hoping that it does not happen the way we feel it's going to happen. We just hope that something will change, something will just go around, and and things will feel better for these particular clubs. All right, thank you for joining me. Where you're joining me from, and still following up all those big stories that are happening, and hoping that the league will give us a very interesting. Now, let's talk about some transfer stories. Let's talk about Ademola Lookman, who is going to Atletico Madrid, and that has been one of those big stories that have been popping up everywhere. Yeah, Ademola Lookman is moving to play ball with the club they call it Atletico Madrid. Yes, he's going for Atlanta there to play, and that was one of the biggest talking points in over the weekend around the Nigerian player moving there to play football. And we hope he can do well with their athletic team. I am one of those places. I'm not really a fan of a striker going to Atletico Madrid. Atletico Madrid is a club that majorly focus on playing defensive football to a certain level. So I am not just always a fan of having a player who plays as a striker moving there, because it's players going to Atletico Madrid with their more of defensive kind of football. Sometimes the striker is being overshadowed because at Atletico Madrid they don't mind scoring one goal and win their game. And so I want a striker to always go to a club whereby they're attacking minded, and if they're playing an attacking minded in an attacking minded club, would be able to showcase himself well, very good football, and that is what I want from players who are into attacking. But for Adman Lukman, who is moving there, I wish him a success. Hopefully, he can get things right. He can play the way he should play, which is what we hope for every great player. All right, we're still switching the gears and making sure we don't miss anything, as it concerns the world of sports. We're trying to make sure we cover all those big and very, very interesting, stories. Then let's bring it back to Africa here, where something very interesting is happening around the WAFCON. Talk about the Women's African Cup of Nations, where Morocco has pulled out of the, hosting the WAFCON, and we're here in South Africa might just be the nation to host that particular one. Still waiting for details around that from CAF to confirm that. Don't forget that Morocco hosted the last African Cup of Nations with a lot of issues around it, and right now we're hearing that they are pulling out from that. Let's have some sporting stories, at the corner. Let's to the EPL. Let's go back to what's happening around. What everybody is saying about the games of yesterday. Let's just get a reaction from some of the players, what they're saying, after the game yesterday, after the game over the weekend, match day 24. It has been very, very, very interesting, to see what has happened, and the happy coaches are getting things right. Now, let's talk about Carrick, and that is a very interesting one. Carrick still remains unbeaten in the Premier League side in 2026. And of course, Man U remain the only unbeaten team. I think that's a great start for Man U. They remain the only unbeaten team. No team is as strong as Man U right now. The only unbeaten team so far, and that's a very, very great news for Manchester United. They're pulling through. Nobody has that record currently, and only unbeaten team. And talk about Matheus Cunha and his interesting dance. I think we all love that particular dance. I wish I could just show you on my screen that Cunha's dance that we all love, the way he does the dancing and everything. One very, very interesting way he does those dancing steps, and Cunha is now the man for Man U. Against City, he gave an assist. Against Arsenal, he scored. Against Fulham, he scored. And we'll call that is the Carrick magic. Also, Matheus Cunha is one of that great player for Man U right now. And we're all talking about the fact that Matheus Cunha is now becoming consistent. Now, many Man U fans had a fear when he came to Man U, whether he could be able to deliver. I think he's now living up to the expectation, delivering the way he should deliver. And for many people, this is the man. Great records from him, pulling a very, very interesting the last 3 games he has played, he has scored 2 goals with an assist, and that's very, very interesting for me. And I think this is it. Now, let's still talking Man U, where Manchester United have a plan to rebuild this summer. They're ready to spend to get major midfielders to rebuild this summer, which is another great news from them. And the question will be, which midfielders should Man U go for? But I can officially let you know that Manchester United are ready to build their midfield this particular call it summer transfer window, and get some players they believe that would come in and do the needful. And let's talk about the Ghanaian superstar. Let's talk about this man in City, Anthony Semenyo. Yeah, Anthony Semenyo is now the big boy in City, coming into City during the transfer window, and has been on fire. 5 goals in his first 5 games for Manchester City. The Ghanaian is on super fire. Semenyo is showing himself why he is that big man. And I tell you, many people are happy with what this guy is doing. For me, it's very, very important when you have a player who comes in, do this goal scoring and everything. And Semenyo is that particular player scoring those goals, is really running it. If you don't have Evan Highland, the Ghanaian striker is there to score the goals for City. And I think this is one of the most biggest, points from over the weekend. All right, so let's talk about what's happening around Jude Bellingham. Where Jude Bellingham, of course, will miss be out for a while. He will miss a Valencia game, that game, Benfica, Susuna. A lot of excuse me, a lot of games you would miss, and not really nice, but one of those things. You miss a lot of games. He picked up the injury yesterday to Jude Bellingham, and he'll be out for a period of time. And let's still talking some transfer with stories. West Strasbourg have agreed a deal to sign David Dantro Fofana, where he will move into Chelsea. Yeah, that's a great news. Chelsea fan moving from Chelsea rather. He'll be moving to Strasbourg. Don't forget the same owners that run both clubs. Strasbourg in France, and of course, Chelsea run by same people. Now let's talk about Courtois, where Jose Mourinho is speaking about Courtois being the best goalkeeper in the world. Very interesting words coming from the special one. I think ahead of their game against Benfica, I think Courtois will be one man many will look up to. But when you hear a coach like Mourinho call him the best in the world, definitely it talks about how good he is. I tell you, Real Madrid over the years don't spend money getting players. Always look for how you can get players who can really, really perform. And this man has gotten many talk about Vinicius Junior, where he have said to death do him part, he would remain with the club they call Real Madrid. And some believe it's a normal story. After a while, the player will decide to leave the club. But come on, let's watch and see what happens. Now, from there, let's take a shift and move out and talk about what's happening on Real Madrid, where they've posted 94 goals in 76 games in all competitions since the start of this particular season, which many call as a very bad start for them. So we don't know what is going to happen around them, but they need to get things well and get things right and everything. So let's see what plays. All right, that's all we have for the show this morning. Don't forget, join us later on this afternoon. We'll be live again for the afternoon sports update show, and in the evening we'll also be live again to follow up those biggest sporting stories. Don't forget to get the like button, the notification button, and of course subscribe to the YouTube channel so you can't miss anything that concerns the world of sport. My name is Richard Mwaji. Yes, come to Sport Jacobin. I'm out. I'll see you later.